if it's not controlled, by 2050 there'll be 50% of the world's population is projected to be myopic. The problem computers are doing to eyes is stopping us blinking. So if you can't see clearly at school, it's a barrier to learning. It's nowadays, because agriculture is different, the soil is different.
Is there any difference between reading on paper versus reading on a screen? 50% of the world is going short-sighted. Is your child next? I sat down with Dr. Zimar Sivardeen, an award-winning optometrist and senior lecturer who has treated over 100,000 patients. We uncover the hidden myopia epidemic, why screen time is destroying our children's eyes, and the exact diet that could save your vision. This conversation might just save your sight. Let's get into it. This episode of PCHM is proudly brought to you by Yafa Limited, your premier source of authentic Palestinian produce and finest quality dates in the UK. So, Dr. Zimar, thank you very much for your time. We're going to have a conversation mainly about what's happening with our eyes, right? That's the main focus today we have. And I'm really excited to unpack this with you. So would you like to introduce yourself first, please?
I'm a practicing optometrist, senior lecturer at a university and a research fellow at Aston University. My name is Dr. Zimar Sivardeen. I'm also currently the chairman of the British Sri Lankan Association, BRISLA, which is an organisation which brings different communities together. Just would like to thank you for inviting me to this special broadcast.
Dr. Zimar, let's start with dry eye syndrome. And why is this so common in South Asian communities?
It's an anatomical reason. The eyeball, the socket, is shallower in the South Asian community. Also, the lids, the eyelids have a little bit more fatty distribution. And the glands in the eyelids, called the meibomian gland, doesn't work as well, research has shown.
And some people think that dry eye syndrome is kind of like tired eyes.
Yes.
You are tired. So can you explain that in a very simple way to me, please?
Yes, it's right in front of the eyeball is a tear film, like an oil on water.
Sure.
That tear film is made out of 3 substances, water, fat and mucin. If that tear film is not smooth and consistent due to evaporation or poor quality performance of the tears, then you will get a dry eye because of the inflammation that it causes and discomfort it causes to the surface of the eyeball.
So is this something which is linked to the diet or lifestyle or the genetics or the environment? What does it link to?
Genetic isn't a primary driver. It is makes one more susceptible to the dry eyes syndrome. But the environment, the outdoor wind, the climate, altitude, how high you're from the sea level, air conditioning.
Oh, wow.
They all contribute to the dry eye.
Oh, is it? Air conditioning as well? How?
The air conditioning impacts the atmosphere, and then evaporation of the tear layer increases. And then once the water part of the eye, the tear film is evaporated, it then causes a dry eye. And also, of course, we cannot forget the computer, because when we now use the computer so frequently, it causes the eyes to dry as well, because we stop blinking when we're staring at a screen for long periods. Our ability to blink changes with staring, and also staring causes the eyes to evaporate, the water part to evaporate, and that results in a dry eye.
So that's why we are blinking, that keeps the eye moist. Is that
That's right. It's important to blink and to combat this. Spasmodically blink and keep blinking when we are using a computer, for example. And of course, the other thing is urbanization. Now everything is, everyone is living indoors.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I was about to say, that indoor living is caused to it as well?
Yes, indoor living, because again, we are in a heated environment, especially in this country. The temperature is changing, and that more video intensive use of gadgets, they all cause one to have a dry eye syndrome.
And then do you think that this dry eye syndrome is, if it's ignored and left it like this, does it have kind of like an untreated? So does it have any kinds of consequences? What happens to it?
Yes, a lot of the headaches that we have is because of dry eyes and the grittiness that we feel. But once we don't correct it, it becomes prolonged, and the cycle continues, and that results in scarring. And remember, the cornea, the front surface of the eye, is like a window in a windscreen. If that surface is not smooth and clear and scarred, then we can't see clearly. The light enters the eye through the front surface of the eye, and that results in blurriness, not being able to see faces, drive, recognize detail. So scarring can ultimately, that can cause blindness, because that stops the light entering the eye, which is essential for us to see.
And at one point, Dr. Zimar, the dry eye becomes a long-term kind of like chronic condition. At what point does that happen?
Once it is not maintained and looked after, I mean, there's ocular lubricants, there's a lot of diet, contact lenses, medication. They all cause the dry eye to increase. And if we don't, once it's not addressed, it will continue and continue and continue. And then it's a maintenance issue, and then you cannot cure it. It's not something, ultimately, once it becomes chronic, you have to keep having ocular lubricants or eye drops on a regular basis to replace the tears that have become poor quality.
Right, so dry eye leads you to a permanent chronic disease. So
that's right, and it's very difficult to control, and especially with women who are over 45, 50, when the hormonal changes occurs. The estrogen and the progesterone, the hormones, impacts the eyelids, lacrimal gland, and the meibomian gland. So that they're two important glands which contribute to the tear function and the contribution to the production of the tears. If that's not there, the estrogen and progesterone, that can also cause a dry eye. So that's very common when the hormones changes as well. So unfortunately, it's a maintenance, it's continuous use of ocular lubricants. And the problem a lot of people do is they don't put enough lubricants. They just put once a day. You need to put it 3-4 times a day. If you get the inflammation, irritability, the infection that dry eye syndrome causes.
So if someone has got dry eye syndrome and they got diagnosed with it, so what should they do for the maintenance?
The first thing is to see an optometrist. Let me explain an optometrist because not everyone knows what an optometrist is, which I'm a practicing optometrist. An optometrist is an eye care professional who has spent 3 years with undergraduate degree and then 1 year in practice and with 4 years of experience. So it's important to see an eye care professional, optometrist, to diagnose that and then advise it, because sometimes some of the symptoms that you get as like blurred vision, irritation, headaches, can be other things as well. So it needs to be looked at with the equipment and then diagnosed. You can't just simply say one has a dry eye. It's important to be diagnosed with the dry eye syndrome and then take precautions and do the advice that is given by the optometrist.
Okay, Dr. Zimar, we just talked about the dry eye syndrome. Now let's talk about myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism. So I hope that I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you are very good.
So a lot of people hear these terms, but I do get to hear this as well, but we don't really understand them. Can you clearly explain them in plain English, what these terms are?
Yes, I mean, just to put the context into it, when we wear glasses, we have a condition called myopia, hyperopia, or astigmatism. That's why we need glasses, contact lenses, or correction. And we can't see clearly. Myopia is when we can't see in the distance because the eyeball is too long for the focal system of the eye. Hyperopia is when we can't see close up and the eyeball is too small for the optics of the eye. Astigmatism is when the eyeball is like a rugby ball shape rather than a football shape, and that causes blurred vision. Most conditions are stigmatic, but now myopia is rapidly on the increase because of the lifestyle that the modern age is going through.
And East Asian countries are facing what's been called a myopia epidemic.
Yes.
Do you think the South Asian countries are the next?
Myopia or short-sightedness is rapidly rising in the East Asia. There's a lot of research being done in Singapore and Japan, for example. Research has shown about 90% of the population, 9 out of 10 people have got myopia.
Oh, wow.
In the Indian subcontinent, research has been done, and in urban India, that's where the town part of India, it's rising to 50% of the population. So South Asia, 50%. So it's increasing rapidly. And it's going to be an epidemic unless we control it.
And Dr. Zimar, why are children today becoming short-sighted at much younger age than previously? Why is that?
It's because children are more exposed to the computer, the mobile phones, the video screens, the computer screens, the iPads. So the near work that children are doing has increased rapidly in terms of the lifestyle that we lead. So this increase prolonged close-up work, which increases the rapid progression and onset of myopia. Another problem we're doing, we're all living indoors. Everything, as I mentioned earlier, we are all not going outside. The lack of outdoor pursuits is causing myopia to increase. What's happening is people are all studying or using gadgets or having indoor lifestyles. The problem that causes is that the elongation of the eye is increased. And remember, I mentioned that myopia is the eyeball is larger. So this increases the eyeball to be bigger, the lack of outdoor pursuits, the prolonged close-up work, and that increases myopia. And also a genetic predisposition as well. Now, as people get more myopic, there's research showing 25 to 90%, depending on what background people are, what part of the world they're from. But there's 25% to 90% chance of getting myopia if you've got a family history. If mum or dad have myopia. So what's happening, the pool of myopic patients are increasing as the myopia is increasing, and therefore the next generation will also become myopic and short-sighted because of the genetic links involved.
So we talked about myopia. So now I want to ask this to you. Is this true that once a child starts wearing glasses, their eyesight keeps getting worse? Or is it just a myth?
Unfortunately, that is spoken about by many people. It's a viewpoint many people have. But it's a myth. Wearing glasses actually helps you see clearly, they help the brain focus and stop the strain. If you can't see clearly, it impacts your performance. The problem is also at a young age, if you don't get the right prescription, there's 2 points to note. One is under-correcting the prescription, that is not correcting it properly, will increase myopia. And also, if you don't correct the glasses, you can get a lazy eye. The development of the eye doesn't occur in the same way as it should do.
How much responsibility do education systems and academic pressure carry in this problem?
Yes, it's a very good question. And nowadays, with the South Asian community focus on education, and in fact, the competition in all societies are changing. Right. So education is becoming more important across the range. So what the high pressures involve studying more, using computers more, gadgets more, iPads more. This all increases, is showing to increase the close-up work, intensive close-up work, which will result in myopia increasing.
Right. Let's talk genetics versus lifestyle. So if both parents wear glasses, so do you think how likely is that their child going to wear the glasses as well?
Yes, the research that has been done on myopia has varying amount of impact of genes. Genes can have an impact of 25% to 90%, depending on ethnicity and what research that has been done. So the genetic predisposition is very important for myopia control. But then the lifestyle is also critical now. Close-up work spending all this time on the computer is having an impact on increasing myopia. And also the environment, the outdoor lifestyle. There's something about the sunlight, the natural light, the high energy, the spectrum of light that it creates, which stops myopia progression. There's also a retinal dopamine, which is a chemical which is created in the retina, which also is caused to develop because of UV and B light, and that can also have an impact. And other thing is now all of us are living less in rural life. Most of us are in towns, and unfortunately, this indoor living isn't good for us.
And what do you think can good habits slow down or reduce the worsening eyesight?
There's been so much development in myopia because it's becoming a very common condition. There's spectacle lenses which can control the myopia. There's contact lenses which can prevent myopia from progressing.
Oh, wow.
And there's lots of other areas now. It's worth seeing an optometrist to get insight into the ways one can prevent the progression of myopia.
So what top 3 tips do you have, like top 3 habits you have, we should develop to stop worsening eyesight in a child?
It's really, we're talking about a sort of a mature child.
Yes.
Is a 20-20-20 rule.
Right.
20-20-20 rule is every 20 minutes you have a 20-second break and look in the distance of 20 feet, which is about 6 meters. Other important rule is 1-2-10 rule, where you look at a mobile phone at 1 feet, iPad and a computer at 2 feet, and the television at 10 feet, which is 3 meters.
3 meters.
And the other important thing is to blink properly. It's important we blink. When we focus on the computer, we are staring on the computer all the time, and we're not blinking. So do some spasmodic blinking, like do that a few times, and that'll help redistribute the tear film in the eye and help the eye from evaporating.
Wow, that was really helpful. Thank you, Dr. Zimar. And what lifestyle factors today are doing the most damage to eyesight, especially in South Asian children or households?
Again, it's those important points I mentioned earlier. It's computer use, too much near vision use, not going outside to play in the natural light, living in urbanized, in towns too much, and the high intensive pressure that we all are putting our children through, sadly.
Sure. And what do you think if a child already has myopia, is there still a hope for them to just go back and get better their eye care?
Yes, it's a progression of myopia that can be stopped. The cells are changing all the time in the eyes. It can degenerate, it can get worse, it can get better, or it can remain the same. But once you've got the myopia, by wearing special contact lenses or glasses, Yeah, or there's other techniques. One can stop the progression of myopia, which is important, really, because what's happening is more people are getting short-sighted at an early age, and therefore, if it progresses for a longer period, you'll be at an end point which is worse than it would have been before. So the myopia is higher, and therefore all the problems of myopia, like retinal problems, myopic degeneration, glaucoma, they all increase. All these eye conditions will increase.
And Dr. Zimar, let's talk about, you touched upon it, screens, digital, eye strain, you touched upon it. Let's talk about it in detail now. So we, as all we know, that we live on screens now. What are computer screens, phones and tablets actually doing to our eyesight? On a biological level?
The problem computers are doing to eyes is stopping us blinking. And that is very important characteristics. It's a natural, our normal blink rate is reduced. And that causes us to have a dry eye. So it's important again to highlight the importance of blinking regularly, not to forget about blinking and be conscious of our blink rate. And
do you think our young developing eyes are more vulnerable or to the screen damage to the adult mature eyes?
Yes, they are. The younger are developing and the strain on the eyes isn't good. So when you're using the computer at a close-up distance, you're focusing more, and that causes the young eye, which is developing, not to develop as well. It puts more strain on the eyes.
Right. And like online tuition culture is very common in South Asian communities.
Yes.
So do you think, is it creating some kind of, because the thing is, the child, like, how damaging is it for long-term learning on a computer? Like in COVID times, children were on computers and tablets, they were learning. So how damaging is that?
Yeah, the online, it's a balance, you see. The online tuition is important. We have to work out the day in someone's life. Children need to sleep, have a social engagement, play sport. And if they spend all their time online, on online tuition alone, it isn't good for the eyes for the reasons I have mentioned before. Because of the close-up, the strain on the eyes, the dryness of the tear layer. So it's important you use the online tuition as in a balanced and responsible way, so that children can learn and not spend all their recreational time on the computer as well. So one needs to make sure in their spare time they don't spend the time on the computer as well. And because education is all now on computer systems and for cost purposes, online tuition is cheap and accessible to many more people. It's a fine balance. You have to be realistic. Really. There's one thing, me advocating the reduction of screen time, but one has to be practical. The parents have to supervise and be sensible about the approach.
So what do you think, is there any difference between reading on paper versus reading on a screen?
That's a really good question, Majid. The paper text has a better performance for the eyes than using computers.
Why is that?
Because the cues, the text, the paper shade, and the texture helps one memorize better, and there's deeper understanding of the topic, and somehow it increases the mental mapping of what you see. For occasional use, computers are fine, just to look at quickly, but I think it's better for the eyes to use paper, text.
So it's better for the eyes.
It's better for the eyes and for the memory. Cognitive overload is present when you use a computer. There's an advantage in using paper, but obviously one has to make sure one also looks at the sustainability factors, the environment as well. So,
Sure.
like anything, it's a balance.
Yeah, of course. And how many hours of screen time becomes dangerous for children, realistically?
Yes, again, it needs to be thought out and be responsible about the use of computers. It's important not to use computers on a recreational basis. Just occasionally using it is good, but to give a number is difficult because each one is so individual. Different people have different aims and goals and ambitions.
In your experience, like if you want to advise someone in terms of numbers, what would you advise?
I think 1 or 2 hours is a good balance, but it's really what you do outside that as well. It's important to diversify your activities, to do more things outside the screen time use, like outdoor activities, social engagements, which also is best to do it outside rather than indoors.
Yeah. And what are the most common signs of digital eye strain that the parents they normally ignore?
It's really rubbing the eyes. People rub their eyes a lot.
I'm just doing it now. As you talked about it, I felt like I need to rub my eyes. Sorry, go on.
Well, the environment there's a lot of lights here, so your eyes will get drier naturally. Then the other important thing about computer usage is headaches. We get headaches after the reading and use of the computers, and it goes after the use. So once you sleep, it goes away.
Yeah. So now let's talk about, we talked about children. Now let's talk about elders, our parents' generation. So what do you think, what irreversible eye damage is already happening silently in older South Asian communities?
The problem is a lot of the South Asian communities have diabetes. It's very common, and the diabetic retinopathy, which is the blood vessels in the eyes are bleeding because of the high blood sugar level, can happen quite easily. So it's important to have an eye test to make sure that can be picked up. So the eye is a window of many diseases, and you can see this quite clearly if there's any bleeding in the back of the eye. There's also glaucoma, which is silent disease, which creeps up without us knowing. Again, an eye examination will help detect that. And macular degeneration, which is an aging of the eye, which again comes on gradually. So all these are very important diseases which can creep up gradually. But what you mustn't also forget, the cataracts are very common as well. That gradually creeps up. Cataracts
What is cataract?
is when the lens, the crystalline lens inside the eye becomes misty. So it's like eye is like a camera. If the lens in a camera gets misty, we can't see. But it's quite straightforward. The cataract can be removed and an artificial lens put in, and that sorts that out quite quickly.
Sure. And why do so many elders in our community they delay their eye check until it's start becoming a serious matter?
Like many things, it's fear. The fear of the unknown, not knowing what the problem is. And I saw a patient the other day. I wanted to do some further tests. He said he didn't want me to do further tests because he didn't want to know what any further conditions he's got. So people are worried about hearing about other issues.
That's a very South Asian thing, isn't it? We're scared of these tests and all. We always say we are fine, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. And other thing is, a lot of these are silent. They don't. They creep up slowly without us knowing. And then also people think glasses are related to eye examinations, when in fact the eye examination is nowadays very medically orientated.
And what do you think the conditions like you mentioned cataract and the other one, which one, the glaucoma you mentioned?
Glaucoma, yes.
Glaucoma, why they are so common in our community?
Glaucoma, there's about 2% of the South Asian community have got glaucoma in the UK. Research has shown.
How many percent?
About 2%.
2%. Okay.
And macular degeneration is about 8%, and cataract is about 77%. So it's very common indeed. But thankfully the cataracts are straightforward, and now the techniques of removal and the availability of surgery is so good. It's something people shouldn't be afraid of going to the hospital to remove it.
And what symptoms do families wrongly dismiss for your parents' generation? What symptoms do they dismiss that they should keep an eye on to make sure they look after the eye thing doesn't get worse?
I think the main thing is flashing lights and floaters or black spots. As you get older, the gel in the eye changes, and it's very common to have floaters or black spots, spider-like figures in your eye. If you have a change in number of floaters and it increases and lots of flashing lights, that's when the gel in the eye is pulling on the retina. That can be a sign of a retinal detachment. So the retina can be pulling away, and that can cause you to lose your vision. So those are quite important factors or signs to look for: flashing lights and floaters.
Kind of like warning signs for.
They're warning signs.
Elderly.
For anyone, any adult, but it can be missed quite easily by the elderly.
Okay, and let's talk about early signs a parents should look for in their children. Let's talk
Sure.
For like maybe next 10 minutes we can explore that. What early warning signs in children do parents most commonly miss?
The early warning signs are, for example, clumsiness. Because if people are falling over things, tables and chairs, that's something to be concerned about. The good thing about the eye is that we've got two eyes. So if one eye is affected, then most people don't realize there's a problem. So if they're falling over in sports as well, it's important to see an optometrist. Another problem is the head tilt. If someone is tilting the head, they can be compensating for lazy eye. Then rubbing eyes is very common. But then eyes are amazing. Children, they compensate for all these problems, and that's why it's very difficult to pick this up. So parents have to be vigilant with their children and keep a close eye. Headaches are very important as well. If they're having headaches are multifactorial. It can be stress, anxiety, lack of sleep, diet. All these things can cause it, but also it can be simply glasses, a simple requirement for glasses.
You mentioned headache, Dr. Zimar. What about poor concentration? Can we link this to eyesight?
Yes, poor concentration can be eye strain. So it's again, if children are not showing attention at school, they're getting tired quite easily. It's important to get an eye test.
Okay. And how often do school performance or behavior issues actually come down to eyesight?
There's been research done that up to 80% of our learning at school is visual. So if you can't see clearly at school, it's a barrier to learning. So it'll put you backwards at school and the development of your studies. Because if you can't see clearly, it'll impact your studies as well as your sport as well.
Yeah. So at what age should children ideally have their first proper eye examination?
The beauty is in the eyes is there's a special period called the critical period of plasticity between birth and 7 and 8, where we can do something to the eye that's by stimulating it. So if we find things between birth and 8 years of age, we can change the course of the eye. If you've got a lazy eye, for example. So it's important that children are examined at 3 to 4 years, and health visitor or doctor, pediatric doctor should be looking at a child earlier than that.
Let's talk about the sunlight. You mentioned about sunlight, you touched upon it. So in South Asia, like in Indian subcontinent, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, sun has intense, there's intense sunlight. So how dangerous, you said it's good to be out there, obviously living in this country, so it's good to be out in sun, rarely sun comes out. But is that too much of sun is an issue as well? Is it like, the long-term UV exposure to the eyes?
Yes, the UV damage is something that can be controlled, and there's a lot of UVA and B and
what is UVA, B, C? Let's talk about this first and go into it.
The ultraviolet light, the spectrum of light has this visible spectrum, and there's UV and B light, which is in the 200 to 400 nanometer of energy levels. So all this, UVA, UVB, UVC, can cause damage to the eye. The good thing about the UVC is that it's absorbed by the ozone layer. UVB is absorbed by the skin. So when we get a tan, that is UVB. And UVA is the one which causes damage to the retina and the crystalline lens. It penetrates into the eye.
And what do you think that can sun really damage the eyes permanently?
Yes, it can. There's a solar maculopathy, which you can lose your vision. It's a sunburn of the retina, and once that maculopathy is done, the damage is done.
So are the children's eyes are more vulnerable, or the adults to the UV?
The children's adults are quite different. The adult lens is more yellower and a bit more thicker. The children have a clear, transparent lens, crystalline lens in the eye. So more light or the UV A and B can penetrate.
So they are more vulnerable.
They're more vulnerable, yes.
So Dr. Zimar, we were talking about the sunlight,
Yes.
especially in the children and the adults and stuff. So now let's talk about the food and diet. As us, I don't know about in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka should be the same culture, isn't it? Like
Yes,
the relationship we have with our food.
The names are different. A lot of similar cuisine.
Cuisine is similar as well, but I feel like the relationship we have with our food as well.
Yes.
Like when it's celebration food, when someone died, there's food as well. So, like that kind of stuff. So food is our love language.
Yes.
So I was like, that's very important to speak about food. Are these common South Asian foods we eat daily, are they really harmful to our eyes?
Things like pakoras, samosas, cutlets, some of the sweets we eat, they're not good for the system, the human system, and therefore it isn't so good for the eyes as well, because it's a whole one system, isn't it? The human body, it works together.
So, so what do you think? So you talked about the fried food mainly.
Yes.
So what do you think about sugar or refined carbs? Are they a factor as well?
What they're finding is that how good your heart is and what you do for your heart, the cardiovascular system has a good link with the eyes. So if you control the diabetes or the sugar levels in the blood, the cholesterol, you don't get high cholesterol, the blood pressure, you don't get high blood pressure. It has a positive impact on the eyes because all these contribute to changes in the eye.
Right. And we talked about the food, which is not great, but are there any food genuinely which can help with your eye health?
The research has shown that it's important to have a balanced diet and a nutrient-rich diet. If you have all of that, all the vitamins and minerals and the proteins and the carbohydrates in the proportion that we should have, then the eye health will be good. But certain carotenoids, they're called lutein and zeaxanthin. These are green vegetables, and in yellow colored vegetables you find it. Like kale, spinach, broccoli. They help the eyes in terms of the aging of the eye and the sun damage to the eye. So it's important that you take spinach, broccoli, then mangoes, papaya, they're all in that. But also what they're finding is that the lutein and zeaxanthin is absorbed better by the body if we take a splash of olive oil or avocado, for example, because it needs an unsaturated oil to help its absorption. So it's an important constituency to take, lutein and zeaxanthin.
Right. And do you think there's any supplement necessary, or can the diet alone can be enough for your eye care?
The problem is nowadays, because people have different income streams, and it isn't easy to get a balanced diet. If you can get the supplements, then you ensure that you have the broad range of science you need for the body. So my advice is to have the supplements. Another interesting thing is nowadays, because agriculture is different, the soil is different nowadays. If the soil doesn't have all the ingredients to make that tree or the plant full up with enriched with all the nutrients it needs, then when you take the product, it's lacking in the nutrients you need. So not all nutrients are in the same dose because of the varying degrees of agriculture in the world. Wow. So it's always important. You may be taking something nutritional, but it may not have all the ingredients it should have. So I'm a firm believer. I have supplements on a regular basis. It's worth paying extra for that to make sure we have a balanced and nutrient-rich diet.
Right. So we talked about the food now. So let's talk about the profession that you are in, optometry. So you've been in optometry for over 2 decades. How was the profession changed over the years, in last 30 years?
Yes, it's 31 years now. I've
31 years.
Yeah, I'm an optometrist. It's changed so much, Majid.
For good or for bad?
For the good, really. When we started, it was simply a spectacle, prescription and correction of vision and fitting contact lens profession. Now it's become expanded in the scope of practice, and there's far more opportunities to look at the health of the eye. So there's a wider range of topics we have to know. So now the GP of the eyes are the optometrists. There's the OCT now, the ocular coherence tomography, which gives us a 3D view of the eye. That's an optical ultrasound. Now it's available in most optometrists. It's worth doing because it shows a cross-section of the retina, which we can't see. In the olden days, whatever we did in the practice, we couldn't see the retinal layers. Now we can see the layers and we can detect diseases a few years before it even rises.
That's right.
Then AI and robotics have...
How AI has changed your profession in the last few years?
It's amazing changes. In fact, it's changed the whole medical profession. I mean, for example, what I have experienced in my 31 years is about 100,000 patients I've seen. With AI, they can use millions of experiences to see with more accuracy what the diagnosis of a condition can be. So they can decide variations more accurately.
And now, because of your experience, I will need to ask you this. So are children's eyes genuinely got worse in last 20, 30 years? Or are we diagnosing more?
I think it's both, really. With children, there was research done a worldwide research done on children and adolescents. They found that myopia was 24% in 1990, and in 2020 to 2023, it's become 36%.
Wow.
So 1 in 3 people are short-sighted. But also now there's much more optometrists in the UK. So the screening of these conditions are much easier to detect. And the cost of eye care has reduced as well.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Yes.
For sure. And what worries you most about the future of eye health for the future generation?
For the children, it's myopia, because myopia is becoming a pandemic. And if it's not controlled, by 2050, there'll be 50% of the world's population is projected to be myopic or short-sightedness. With adults, it's really making sure that the sugars are controlled, so that a lot of these conditions are reduced. The eye conditions, eye diseases are reduced.
And if there's one habit every South Asian, Indian subcontinent household should change, like communities in this country from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, today to protect their eyesight, what habit should they change?
Children should spend 1.5 hours to 2 hours outdoors, and adults should control their outdoor, their cardiovascular system better.
And what advice do you have for parents who have got young children? What advice, one piece of advice you want to give it to them, how to look after their eyesight?
To take them outside, play outside, balance it with the computer, and reduce recreational time children spend on the computer.
Brilliant. That was a very important conversation. I really appreciate your time, Dr. Zimar. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Majid. Thank you for the invitation. Very nice of you. I'm honored.
Thank you.